The Beijing-Tokyo Forum ended Tuesday, and a lot was said about the benefits of China and Japan coming to a free trade agreement, or FTA. An agreement has been discussed before, and there was a lot of talk of trilateral agreements with Korea. Today we get some expert opinions on the possibility. Jianguo, former Vice Minister of Commerce and Secretary General of the China Center for International Economic Exchanges during the Beijing-Tokyo Forum, said a free trade agreement between China and Japan will boost relations and benefit both countries. Now is a good time for China and Japan to discuss starting FTA negotiations. Rapidly growing trade and the surge of Japanese investment into China have established conditions for both countries to start FTA talks. Wei also highlighted the service sector as an area that will benefit from greater cooperation. The Japanese External Trade Organization said trade with China increased 14.3% last year to a record $344.9 billion. It is likely that this year's total will exceed $350 billion. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce said Japanese investment in China surged by 49.6% year-on-year in 2011 to $6.3 billion, and the first 5 months of 2012 saw Japanese investment of $3.22 billion, up 16.6% from the previous year. Wei Jianguo believes that once an FTA is in place, China will make significant investment into Japanese enterprises. Wei said once FTA negotiations started, both governments could follow step-by-step principles and start talks initially on easier areas while putting aside sensitive areas such as agriculture in Japan and the automobile industry in China to ensure success. Sun Zhenyu, former Chinese ambassador to the World Trade Organization and chairman of the China Society for World Trade Organization Studies, said that once the FTA is agreed upon, it could lead to lifting Japan's GDP by 0.66%. Wang Yizhu, a researcher from the National Institute of International Strategy at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, highlighted potential challenges. Wang said, "It's surely a good thing if China and Japan can start FTA talks, which will improve economic relations, but the talks will be very difficult because of great differences in the industrial structures of the two countries." Yao Haitian, a researcher from the Institute of Japanese Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, said that an FTA with Japan will boost exports to Japan in the short term. Chinese exports to Japan edged up 0.4% year-on-year to $134.7 billion in the first 5 months, lower than China's export growth of 8.7% in the same period. Yao said, however, in the long run, the FTA with Japan will have a great impact. Chinese industries are less developed and lack core technology. Toshiro Muto, chairman of the Daiwa Institute of Research and former vice president of the Bank of Japan, said that the European crisis provides greater room for cooperation between China and Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda said that China and Japan should not only strengthen economic and trade cooperation, but also join hands to tackle regional and global issues. Former Vice Premier Zheng Peiyan called on both countries to speed up talks on the China-Japan-South Korea trade agreement. Earlier this year, the leaders of China, Japan, and South Korea agreed to start negotiations this year. Mao Tianyu, a director from the Department of International Trade and Economic Affairs at the Ministry of Commerce, said negotiations are likely to start in November during the East Asia Summit.